Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to this course on how to build threads from scratch with React Native, Expo, and Supabase. In this episode, we're going to go over how to create a post. So we're going to start getting into some of the components of GlueStack so we can make it look a lot nicer. This home page, right now we don't have anything. We just have home and all the titles of each page and a logout button. And then we're going to actually create a post. And so that's going to be, a post is kind of the core feature of a thread. So every single thing kind of is grouped around this post and linked to a post, whether it's a user, whether it's a location, whether it's a like, whether it's a repost, mention. They're all linked to this post. So it's going to be a core feature of the app, and we're going to keep adding to it. So we're going to create a basic post that we can add to onto the future. So first thing I did was I actually took a screenshot of threads section. So what we want to do is recreate this section. So when you first come to the home page, instead of just saying home Tim, it has the threads icon. It has like a little avatar that we will eventually be able to replace with an image, the username, and then some icons to be able to do some actions. So each icon does something a little different. Right now we're just going to show the icons. And then in the future, we're going to do each episode on how to actually integrate with the photo library for this one, the camera, Giphy API for this one, voice recording, hashtag. I forget what this one is. Honestly, I forget. And then location services. And we're going to use the Google Places API. So hope you join me for this one. Like and subscribe to get notifications for all new videos as we build out threads from scratch. So first thing we're going to do is, let's see, we want to recreate this image. So we already have the threads logo from the login screen. So we just want to bring it into the home screen. Right now we just have index, home screen. We could remove all of this. And then we want to import I forget how it's imported. There we go. The beauty of TypeScript. Just guess until the error goes away. Okay, there we go. And then let's do a hstack. We don't need a view. Import it so that we could center it. There we go. Okay. Step number 1 finished. And it's nice, every time we reload, it doesn't force us to log in every single time. So all the work we did with the authentication in the previous episode is helping us in development. So that's why we spent so much time on that flow. Okay, so now we want to get into GlueStack. And that's because this little avatar seems simple. But you have to account for a lot of different things, whether the person has an image or not, because when we first log in, they're not going to have an image yet, and any fallbacks. So GlueStack makes it super easy to have this avatar, and you can actually kind of just copy and paste this. So they have the avatar, they have a fallback text. So we're going to see what that looks like because we don't have an image. And then you just pass in and it styles it, circles it, makes it look nice, and even has this little badge, which we're going to use for a plus button, so you could add that person as a friend or start following them. I don't think they call it friends in threads, but you get the point. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is, actually we're going to wrap this whole thing in a card, which is a component from GlueStack. And then import avatar. So a card is just like kind of a component that gives some spacing around it. So if we go to GlueStack card, yeah, it's just like a grouping of a text heading, and we're going to add an image to this. So we're going to come back to that in a second. So we have card, and we have this image. So right now it's passing in a default image, but if we were to pass in an empty string, this is the cool part, it still looks nice, and it has the fallback text. So instead of the text, we could do user username. Make this optional, and then it has T. So I think that's just like a cool little feature that it has. And then once we do have an avatar, we could pass it in there. Obviously right now we don't have anything. And then actually I think the card, we want to put this H stack instead. And the card is supposed to go inside the H stack. Let's copy and paste this over. I love how they're just assuming. AI is great, but sometimes it just assumes the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. Why does it have a white background? Variant elevated. Interesting, okay. I don't think we need a variant. Let's just do class name BG white. Or no, BG. What is this color? Transparent. There we go. Okay, so we have this justify. We kind of want this justify between. Maybe not. I think one of the most annoying things actually with native Wend and GlueStack is the padding and margin is so inconsistent versus just inline styles. That's my biggest gripe with it. Okay, so we have quick start. So instead of quick start, we want to put user.username, and let's do what's new. Perfect. Close enough. Medium. And okay. So we have it's starting to get there. Maybe let's do px5 because there's a lot of spacing. And then the next thing we want to do is these icons. So we want a row of these icons, but we want it right below the car so you can see how it doesn't go below the icon itself or below the avatar itself. So what we want to do is put this in a VStack because we want it to be vertically aligned. Let's import it. And it should look the same, but if we do, and then in here we want to do an H stack. So you can see it just aligns it. But instead of text, we want to do lucid icons. So I believe in a previous episode I already installed lucid icons. Let's double check. Yeah. So if we go to lucid, I like this library because it's a little different. If you just use the Expo icons, which is easy, it's already installed. I just like the look of these icons, and they look a lot very similar to the threads icon. So we can see, like, if we search photo, we'll be able to find one very similar. So like we have images. I think this is the closest one, so we could do images. So we go back home. Import images from Lucid React Native. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so now we want to do color. It's like an off gray. And then size is pretty tiny right now, so. Oh, so we already have size. I was like, why is it yelling at us? 24. Is that too big? That looks good. And then let's put, it's pretty close to the text above, so. Let's do, oh, just do space and D. Okay. Let's put this in a VStack because we don't want the same space around these as we do the next item. Yeah, see, we want that spacing right around there, tighter. But in between this item and the icons, we want a little extra space. So instead of gap, we could just do space. It does the same thing, just a lot more concise. Okay, so this space is going horizontally, this space is going vertically. Okay, that's better. Maybe large instead, actually. Okay. We got the camera, so let's go over here, look for camera. I should do camera. Next one will be GIF. I don't know if we have a GIF one. That's not gonna work. We could just use image play. Voice. Record maybe. Here we go. Mic. And then hashtag. I don't know what this one is, so I'm just gonna skip it. Location. Map bin. Okay, now let's import them down here. There we go. Okay. They look a little thicker here, so we could do stroke with 1. Whoa, that's way too small. 2. I'm surprised 1.5 works actually. Okay. Looking pretty close. Let's give some more spacing between them. Oof, 3XL. Okay. That's pretty dang close. Okay, so we got all of our icons. It's not perfect, but it's pretty dang close. We have the basis of what we're trying to accomplish. We have username, we have what's new, and then on this, in the app itself, on click, it actually presents like the ability to start writing a post. So what we want to do is kind of just wrap this whole thing in a pressable event. Is it HStack or no? And then import it, of course. I think there's a pressable on, so if we do onPress. So onPress, we want to actually present this post, which is empty right now. So we could do router.post instead. Let's import it from Expo router. There we go. It's interesting how this one works right away, and then this button down below. I think there's something with the layout that it's a little delayed. But we could come back. So this listener is not. Oh, maybe it's prevent default. There we go. Okay. So now it works. So remember in a previous episode, we're kind of like overtaking this action. So typically you can't just do this native modal overlay in just a stack screen, a tab screen layout. So what we're doing is we're kind of hijacking the event, the listener. So we're passing in listeners on tab press, and that's where we just added the prevent default. So we want to prevent the default action and instead push to the post. And we're going to do this, get the same place from either clicking here or clicking the plus button. So there's two ways to get to the same place. So next thing we want to do is in the post, we have this similar type layout. So when I first started doing this, I actually created a component, because anytime you copy and paste in code, that's a pretty good indication that it should be a component. But in this scenario, this is just a view. So this never actually changes up here on the home page. It's literally just a button. So what's new is not text input. None of these actually do anything. They just go to the post. And so what I did instead was I did what I hate doing and copy and pasting code onto this post screen, because each one of these buttons is going to do something else. And so it was just a little cleaner that way. And so we're going to copy and paste this whole H stack and bring it into post. And we got to import everything, of course. Let's just copy and paste, and then if something okay, there we go. So now we click, we get the same stuff. So this is where this page, this item is not going to change at all. But on the post page, we're going to basically change all of these. Like, it's still going to look the same, but each one of these icons is going to have a touchable opacity and an action around it. This text is going to be a text input instead. Avatar will be the same, but that's fine to copy and paste because it's already a component. And then actually we want to do one more thing. So we have this like little green item. So that's kind of meant to indicate that they're online. On home, we don't need that. Actually, on the post, we don't need that either. So we're going to come back to that one, because what we're going to do is add the plus icon, but we don't want to friend ourselves, so it's kind of pointless to have the plus icon there. So yeah. Okay, next thing, before we start adding actions to these icons, we want to start creating our basic schema post. So I think what a pretty good, I thought was a pretty good idea around creating a post. When you're on Threads and you reply to a post, it kind of looks exactly the same as if you were to post from scratch. So let's say I were to go into my app, click post. If I were to create a post and just like today, hello, good morning, today's a great day, or checking into this restaurant, whether I do that or if I go home and I click reply to someone, that view is both basically the same. When I reply, it still prompts you with the same input. And so what I did was a reply and a thread and a regular post are all using the same post model. And what I mean by that, maybe a better way to explain this is if I just start creating the model. So we're going to do model, not in caps, please, model post. And then this post is going to have an ID. And I'm actually not going to use, again, the UUID. So we're still not going to use that just yet. And that's because in this scenario, we want to be able to create a thread. So a thread is like a lined post. So a thread is like one post and then a linked post. So you'd have like five different posts that are all associated with each other. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this, but hopefully it makes more sense when I put it through. So right now we have an ID. We have a user ID. This user already exists. So we're going to pass in the user ID, and it can have that association. So this is calling, like if you were to call post, as long as you pass in an existing user ID, you'll be able to do post.user and get all of the same information. So it's associated with each other, aka database relationship. So the same thing we want to do is actually a parent ID, and the parent is going to be itself. So it's going to reference, the model is going to reference itself. And that's how we get this threads associated post or replies. Hopefully that makes sense. And then we also want to do on delete cascade. And that means if let's say we have one post with 10 replies. We don't want to delete the post without deleting the replies, and because that will throw a bunch of errors. And then it'll also, the replies will be referencing a post that no longer exists. So what this does, this on delete cascade, is if you delete the parent, that'll delete all the children posts. Or if you, in this case, if you delete a user account, it'll delete all of their posts that they've created. You don't want to have orphaned posts that don't have a user associated with it. Okay, so I'm saying out loud, parent, child, orphaned. This is interesting. I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, text. So every post has a text. Every post has a user. Post is optional. Actually, we want text to be required too. Let's see what else we got. I think that's all the main stuff we have. Eventually, we're going to add like images, and then GIFs, recordings, locations. But for right now, we have a basic layout. So what we want to do is do npx prisma db push, and let's see what we got here. Okay, so this is a good error. So remember, we're talking about relationships. So we have this relationship to the user, but we have to tell this model that there's a relationship as well. So you can't just put it here. There is a command with Prisma that will try to fix it. So if we go back to the README and we do npx prisma format, it will try to fix the errors. So you can see validating model, post ambiguous self, if they're part of the same. Okay, so this is a little bit different. So we do post. So this is saying that this user can have multiple posts, and that's where these brackets, an array of posts. So that's one error. The other one is we need to clearly define the relationship of post to itself. So let's try to do, it's probably going to yell us the same area. So what we need to do is put this part right here. So at relation name. And I believe we have to also do, what do we want to call this? Post parent. Okay, so error validating post in model post, relationship post. Okay, since it's actually named the same thing, I forgot we have to put just like we have this reference the user to posts, we have to do the same thing with itself, because we have a child item. And then we have to do this at relation. Since it's referencing two different things, we have to clarify what we want to relation. So we want this relation to be here. And then if we do npx Prisma format, so now I could format it. So I could do simple things and it'll just fix the spacing and everything. But now that we did Prisma format with no errors, we're good to go. And we're good to do npx Prisma db push. And remember, if it gets hung up here, that means you have the wrong URL. Remember 5432. If you go to the previous episode, I covered that a little bit more. And now, if we go to Supabase, threads, database, now we have two tables, a user and a post. Okay, so what we want to do is just create a very simple post. I don't want this video to go too long, but we're going to create one post with our user and some simple text, and just make sure it shows up in the database. So on post, let's do on const on press. Let's do, let's just add a button for now. And remember, we need button text. And it has to be imported from GlueStack. Okay, so import button text. All right, got it. So we click on this, we got post, and then on press we want to do Supabase, or wait, Supabase from post insert. Okay, so from post, well, that's not the name of the model. Good try though. Post. From post, insert user. So that's we're going to create the post, so it's going to be our user ID. And we're going to do testing. And then we do this, click post. And then do router.back. So let's just do const error. Then if no error, router back. Let's do another one because that probably worked. So let's try another post. Oof, might have been an error. Let's see. Reload. Did not work. Okay, let's see what the error was. Pressed. Code. Permission denied. Okay. So this is why I have this code. Remember what I said in the last episode, that it's going to be an error you come across quite often. And that's why I just like to make it public for right now. We want to come back and put RLS permissions around who can create a post and update a post. So we want to give the user the ability to like go ahead and delete their own past post, but you don't want them to be able to delete someone else's post. So that's where we want permissions to come in. But for development, it's not a problem. So let's try this one more time. Then we get post, press. Then we have failing. Oh, it's failing for something else this time. So post failure. Oh, non-null. Okay. So the other thing we want to do is, since we're not letting the database decide the ID, we still need to put an ID in here. And so what we can do is go import crypto. I think I have to install this actually. So yeah, we have to install this. Crypto allows us to just do an ID. If we go down here long enough, random UUID. And so we could create this UUID ourselves as well instead of having the database do it. So remember, let's stop it, npx expo install, and then we're going to do crypto.random UUID. I'm going to pass it in here. Oh, import star is crypto. Okay. Let's reload. And then while we wait, we could do if no user return. I wonder if that'll work. Nope. Hey, okay, so we got null, which is a good thing. And then if we go back to our database, posts, and we got our post. So now we have user ID, ID of the post itself. So this is what a crypto.random UUID looks like. It's just a bunch of numbers and letters, similar to the user ID, and then a text of hello world and when it was created at. So right now we don't need parent, so it's a single thread. But in the future we could associate other posts with itself, so we could have like a thread of a conversation. And so there we go. We have our super simple input. It looks like threads right now. None of these buttons actually do anything outside of present the post. We have our post. And so in the next episode, we're going to keep on adding features to this. So this is really, we're going to spend a lot of time on this part because it does a lot of things. We want to be able to actually put in text. So we're going to use the text input. This is going to click the library and so on and so on. So hope you join me for the other episodes and hope you learned a lot here. Like and subscribe and join me for the next one. Peace.